welcome to Business 24. I'm Comfort Amodo and we are reaching you on NTA News 24 from the nation's capital, Abuja. All right, from Cairo in Egypt to Lomé in Togo and now to East Africa. I'm talking about Nairobi in Kenya. Nigeria is, of course, gradually conquering the continental market with the establishment of trade houses in these trade hubs. And I guess you want to know how all this came to fruition. Details shortly. Now let's do a little bit of banking now. Nigerian Microfinance Bank has now widened its scope of operations by coming up with an initiative known as On-Balance Sheet Lending Portfolio to promote financial inclusion. Of course, what is the latest concerning this? Business 24 is ready to give an expository explanation on today's outline, and we'll be bringing you our export tips, capital market review, all packaged for you on this program this week. I'm Comfort Amodu. Welcome. Welcome back. All right, let's go straight to the business of the day. Now, African countries can trade better with each other with enhanced economic corridors and trade policies that will spur economic growth across trade blocs in the region. This is a position of some key players in the trade and export sector in Nairobi as Nigeria looks to promote its brands in Africa and the presence of the Nigerian Export Trade House now in Nairobi, Kenya, established by the Nigerian Export Promotion Council.
Is there enough market intelligence to guide the whole process?
Africa is set to have huge domestic markets for various goods and services and a destination for leading brands. To sustain this trajectory, key players say Africa must work together to develop a unified regulatory framework and policies that will be a win-win for African countries. This is a position of some key players in the trade and export sector in Nairobi, as Nigeria looks to promote its brands in Africa.
If we don't break the policy barriers that will enable export and import, then it will be difficult for our products, a lot of products from creative industries, from agricultural produce to even leave Nigeria.
Kenyans can do business in America and Nigerians can do business in America faster than we can do business together. But now, given the strength of both countries, the population is growing, economy is growing, I think it's high time that we come together and do business within Africa and show the strength of each nation. Because we've got fantastic people, very innovative, smart people who have an amazing amount of entrepreneurship. So why not take that entrepreneurship and grow it within Africa rather than taking it out of Africa?
These business tycoons and diplomats are excited about the renewed partnership and prospects of elevated bilateral relations between Nigeria and Kenya, especially with the presence of the Nigerian Export Trade House now domiciled in Nairobi, Kenya, established by the Nigerian Export Promotion Council.
You know, in West Africa, we all know that you have the best shea butter. The commodity, in terms of commodities, why aren't we actually getting shea butter here in East Africa? We're actually getting from Uganda or South Sudan. Those are the things which we feel we can actually benefit from this, endeavor we've actually just established with the Export Trade House. Once we have that in hand, and we tap into perhaps, the chartered private means of transportation, then I think, trade will actually increase.
We're making plans with this Export Trade House that we just commissioned. We are making plans to see how we can ship that product down to Kenya. And it's not only shea butter, we're also identifying some other products that are required in Kenya from Nigeria.
They insist that infrastructure is vital to intra-African trade if Africa must harness the full potential of export across the continent for an inclusive and sustainable development on the bloc.
With all those initiatives by the Export Promotion Council and the suggestion by policy makers there, we're expecting better and deeper integration with African countries in terms of market integration and access to these countries as well. Now, Nigerian Microfinance Bank is now in the vanguard of deepening financial inclusion among various classes of the society by providing loans. Kunle Adeyi will now tell us what needs to be done to access these loans.
No one is left out in the offer talking about the new on-balance sheet lending, unlike the previous package, which was essentially for operators engaged in production rather than trading. First on the list is salary advance. It's for individuals in paid employment whose salaries have been consistent for 3 months. Anwule Ijoma is the head credit and marketing department of Nassau Microfinance Bank. She disclosed that the offers have liberal conditions.
For salary earners, government workers, blue chip companies, and all, we have a product for them, salary advance. It's tied to their salaries. They don't have to open salary account with us, but we need to see their pay slips. We need to get see their letter of appointment and their confirmation letters from the organizations, and of course we'll do our due diligence with that organization to make sure that they are still working with that place and they don't have any they don't have a lot of burden on their salaries, right? Because statutorily we're not supposed to take more than at the end of the day, a person I think the cumulative repayment on any salary earner, we're not supposed to take more than a certain percentage, and that we must take into consideration other loans that they have from other institutions, and we give to individuals that have the capacity. They need money for something. So every Nigerian that is economically active has a source of income from which we should be able to take repayments. Every Nigerian that has heard about us associates us with intervention funds, government funds, and all. So the on-balance sheet lending, which is basically lending from our own monies, not our own depositors' funds, not government funds, is just letting the public know that yes, we're a bank, we're a channel for intervention funds, but we're still a bank. So we're still in the business of banking, which is to take deposits from the surplus and then give to the deficit areas, people that need money for their businesses or I don't know, anything that they need money for.
SME loan is for businesses that have been registered with the Corporate Affairs Commission and engaged in trading activities. Approval of loan application depends on the number of indices, including the monthly turnover of business to be financed and suitable collateral.
But the women, the micro businesses, they are very eager to pay back because it's true. They can see the growth in their business. They can see that they're able to meet up with things that they wouldn't have been able to. Then for the small and medium enterprises, it depends on how much that they're asking for. Up to I think less than $1 million, you don't need to bring a guarantor. I'm not sure. I can't say for sure, but less than $1 million, we can get. You just come with us, come to us. We give you our requirements, but for the collateral, it's just a guarantor that we're asking for. Anything above that, you have to give us guarantor, tangible collateral. If you're in business and you own your shop, very easy. You give us your shop papers. If you don't own your shop, you give us any other collateral that you have, vehicles, and all that stuff. So we try to work with what you have. We're a national microfinance bank, and in the space of 3 years, we've done really well, if I may say so myself. Right? Our balance sheet size is quite commendable. The work that we have done as an intervention channel for the masses speaks for itself.
Petty traders have also been incorporated into the scheme. The benefits for people in this regard ranges from 50 to 300,000 naira.
For the petty traders, between 50 and 300,000, they can take up to that. For SMEs, from that 300,000 to 250 million, they can do that with us.
So you can give out up to 50 million?
We're open to considering it. We're open to considering it. But what we work with is 50 million, right, for SMEs. But if conglomerates, like you said, 250 million were open to considering it. You know. Then for the salary earners, like I said, it depends on what their salary can take. Yes. The mandate is financial inclusion for the bank, right? So the intervention products for the masses financial inclusion, we being in our various locations and we the outreach target for us, which is all local government areas. So everything is just working out. And so what we're doing is combining the intervention business with our own business so that either way, every Nigerian has a chance through us. Starting out, it wasn't good. Starting out, it wasn't good because government money is everybody's money. That's the Nigerian, that's the Nigerian perception of it. But what we've been able to do through our corporate communications department is to send out awareness campaigns on social media, print media, TV media. Because my executive management, led by the MD, has been on NTA and some other channels talking about this. So what we've been seeing is traction, really. We've been seeing a lot of progress. People are now paying back. The interactions on social media has, they've just been engaging, so to speak. So everybody is waking up to the fact that these are loans and they must be paid back. They don't like it, but they have seen that it's a responsibility. And so we're seeing traction there.
With over 100 branches nationwide and the FCT, over 600 million under the three categories of loans has been disbursed as loans with a resolve that loan products for agriculture covering farmers and all businesses in the agric value chain will be launched in the course of the year. Kunle Adeyeye for Business 24.
And definitely the presence of Nigerian trade houses in Egypt, Cairo, and now in Kenya will boost trade export in Nigeria. So let's go to the export trade zone to see how traders or exporters can access these markets seamlessly.
Nigerian electric wire and cable till today remains the very best in terms of quality. It's better than Chinese wire and cable. So if we were to take Gambia, for example, as a market to explore with that kind of industrial product, of course you can be sure. Don't even mention when we talk about cement, for example. For me, every West African country is a construction zone. So anything that goes into construction will be a market breaker into any of those markets. Couscous, for example, is not a major staple in Nigeria, but couscous is an everyday food in Banjul, just as it is in Dakar and in Freetown nearby. So I'm a woman in Nigeria. I have perfected my what do you call it, food packaging and labeling. I would rather go there with my samples of my products and be looking for a partner there whose local staple foods I can join up with and say, okay, we are doing this together and packaging for this market. The same way that our Nollywood have captured the African continent, it is possible for Nigerian cuisine to also capture the African continent as a first step, and then we launch out into the world. Now, MSMEs are doing fantastic. Nigerian MSMEs, especially the women, because they are the ones more visible in terms of stuff like food packaging and processing, what do you call it, fashion, beads, culture items, sometimes household utilities for export. That's where Nigeria is building greater and greater comparative advantage. And the feeling is there's a woman who did egusi ready for the pot. It contained the spices, it contained crayfish, it contained what do you call it, crumbs of dry fish already. So all you needed to do was to put this in your pot, put the amount of water that she recommended, put it in your pot, and put it on the fire. And in 5 minutes, your egusi soup was ready. What better strategy than to pick this woman, for example, and say, okay, from now on, when Nigerian troops are going abroad, they're going to go with pot-ready Nigerian food. And you pay her in dollars because that becomes an export. So it's now time for MSMEs to begin to develop themselves, having at the back of their mind that they are going for that market. One, they need to think cluster wise. They need to now start building partnerships and cooperatives. They need to, because individually, like you saw in Togo, I think I mentioned it in Togo, there's this concept of wheelbarrow export. So I have my own business. Maybe due to funds or machine and equipment, I can only produce 100 kilograms of a stuff. But when the order is going to come, it's going to be in containers. Maybe minimum of 20-foot container will take 20 tons. That's 20,000 kilograms. I can only produce 100. But when you have the cluster strategy or the export cooperative, and here I think I'm talking both to the MSMEs as well as to Nigeria Export Promotion Council, there is the lingering out, is lingering now because it's not been activated, the issue of state committees on export promotion. This is the time to now bring them also in so that you can help the MSMEs to come together, to pool. The technical word is to aggregate what individuals are doing. Then you have accredited, and the process of accreditation has to be very, very thorough at the NEPC level.
And now we're going to be joining Professor Uche Uwaleke to tell us how the capital market did. Hello, Prof. Do we have any cause to worry, or did the market do well?
Thank you. Well, this week has been characterized by heavy sell-offs. Week on week, we are witnessing a depreciation of about 0.71%. The market took off on a negative note and is also ending on a negative note. On Friday, the decline was as much as 0.7%. So we had 4 trading days in the red, if you like, and it was only on Wednesday that the market, the all-share index, appreciated. Recall that the previous week, the market on week basis, appreciated by 0.71%. So this week opened on a negative note, so we saw a lot of profit taking. We saw a lot of sell-offs, such that as we speak, the all-share index has moderated below the 50,000 points, now about 49,664 points. The market capitalization is just barely 27 trillion, and the year-to-date return too has moderated to about 16.39%, which of course is below inflation rate of 18.6, which somehow gives cause to worry. So you notice that the negative sentiments witnessed particularly with respect to high cap stocks such as MTN, which is now about trading around 200 naira, Zenith Bank around 21 naira, Jitco around about 20 naira, and some others, contributed to the depreciation, that we saw. Just a few stocks, gained overall during the week, and we are mainly penny stocks, stocks like Champ PLC, Unity Bank. Of course, these stocks are below 50 kobo per share. So overall, we have seen declines, particularly in terms of volume of trade this week. And it's not difficult to see why. The market is still responding to, if you like, the macroeconomic numbers, some of which are not too favorable. Now, talking about high rising inflation rates, talking about volatility in the forex market. Okay, so these are factors that are contributing to this negative investor sentiment. And if you're looking at this sectoral performance, a number of sectors too declined. Talking about the banking index, the industrial index, with just one or two of them showing up. Now you find that going into next week, the market performance is also likely to be mixed. The performance may not be too different from what we have seen so far, and that's because, number one, on the 15th of August, that's talking about next week, the National Bureau of Statistics is likely to release the inflation rate for the CPI information for July. And the expectation is that inflation figure will come in higher than what it is already. That is the figure we have as of June. That's 18.6. So we're likely to see a higher inflation rate. Again, on the 15th of August, of course, the Central Bank of Nigeria, on the authority of the Debt Management Office, will be issuing 225 billion naira bonds, FGN bonds, in 3 tranches of 75 billion, okay, to the market. So these developments are also likely to affect the market one way or the other, because as we see, as interest rates go up, or if you like, as yields in the fixed income, rise, there's this likelihood that investors, traders, portfolio managers, will keep migrating from the equities market, to the fixed income market. So with governments, borrowing, you should expect that rates are driven up, and you should also expect that investors will be selling shares to be able to, buy what may be considered a safer asset class, especially in this environment, an environment of uncertainty, in an environment that is characterized by, high volatility. But my advice in a period like this, is always not to panic.
Many thanks for being part of the program this week, and this is where we wrap this edition, but we will be back again with Business 24 next week, and sure to plug in to catch up with developments in the world of business, finance and economy. I'll see you next week. I'm Comfort Amodu.